Hello. Hello, Daisy. Welcome to another episode of Let's Chat About Death. And I'm joined again by the wonderful Annie. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
I'm not going to attempt to do an applause last time because I can't actually find it yet. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Yep. She's available for parties and all sorts of stuff.
Who, me or the crowd?
No, you.
Oh,
So today we're going to talk about death and afterlife. Death and the afterlife is basically, there's a lot going around in society about what happens. I think there's that whole big thing about no one ever wants to talk about death. But the other side is what happens when we do die. So what's your belief with the whole after death thing?
I believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
And we were actually having this chat yesterday about how what you were reincarnated as depends on the quality of your soul. If you were a good person or if you were a bad person.
Well, I've got no. Imagine what I'm going to come back as. Holy crap!
Probably the dung beetle you were talking about yesterday.
All I could picture was this little beetle pushing this poo into a big ball. I'm thinking that's all your job is to do that. Yeah. There you go. So So you were saying about depending on how you are in life will depend on what you come back as.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um,
So if you're a really good person, you'll come back as, say, a very well looked after dog who doesn't have to do anything. That's why I'm being a good person.
Yeah.
So I can be a
Yeah.
dog when I come back.
Yeah.
Or you might be like royalty,
Yeah.
But I don't think that if you're a bad person, you're not going to get rewarded by coming back as something nice. You're going to come back as a dung beetle.
So there's a lot of cultures out there that believe in the whole afterlife and reincarnation. Excuse me. I don't know what that was. That was just like you with your, like that. It's like lunch was coming back up. So there's a lot of cultures out there that believe in afterlife or reincarnation, and you would have seen if you've been on our TikTok. We did a picture of a cremation, what it looked like at the end of a cremation. Now, that we were given permission for that, so if you do go and have a look at it, you're thinking, oh well, you might think maybe disrespectful, but it's not. It's part of their culture, and everyone gets the opportunity to have a look at it. Now, the reason why cultures are like that is quite similar to what you just said about, how they are once the bones are cremated, or once that body is cremated. The way that those bones sit will indicate to them if they're going to be an animal, if they're going to be a human, if they're going to be, I don't know, something else.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
The only thing is with our modern crematoriums or cremators that we have here is very different to what they have over in India and Sri Lanka when the cremation happens down on the water. Like bring all your family down, and then they do this big ritual down there. And then once the cremation has happened, they're able to then get a top shot down on their loved one, and then that will give a better indication. Whereas that one that was coming from a back angle, which was very hard for their priest to then indicate to the family exactly what the mum was going to come back like. But it's a brilliant photo. I don't think you'll probably ever see that again, unless someone, because that crematorium operator was exposing himself to about 1,000 degrees. So that's for him to be able to take the photo at no cost to anyone. was absolutely brilliant. So,
Mm.
so you weren't aware, you weren't aware that's no,
No,
oh,
I had no idea that that was the purpose of having the photo of the.
yeah. So it wasn't just like here's mum, da da. It was more, yeah, that there was a religious reason to that as well, or their cultural reason why they did that. And I think I'm just trying to think now of because I did see the family after to deliver her ashes back, and they did say something about I think it was something to do with animal.
Mm.
Not quite sure what animal it is. I've tried to look at the photo multiple times. I don't know what type of animal that would be, but yeah, go and do yourself go and have a look. Go and have a look on TikTok, Bremba Family Funerals.
It is very interesting. It's not something that you see every day, and it's
Oh,
not
no,
something that you
no.
probably ever see again, to be honest. So
So I mean, death. You know, we see death on different levels because a lot of death or how we view death is like, Miami CSI. Like,
yeah,
there's always this detective chick that's wearing white because you go to a crime scene.
and you wear white.
Yeah, totally white, and you got photographers everywhere, and you got choppers flying over, and you got everything's roped off. Death is sort of it's looked at very different. Or even their mortuary, like when they go back to the morgue, I can guarantee it that none of the morgues would look like that. Like just everything's staged and
Romanticized.
yeah. So when people think of, what our mortuary's like, they just think, oh, you have bodies that are in drawers. It's like, I mean, I like that look. That looks quite good, but on the practical side, not so good because there's other equipment that has to be involved for that.
And how are you meant to get them down if you don't have a lifting machine?
No, that's right. Just
Balance.
over the shoulder.
We don't do that, by the
Like
way.
a sack of potatoes. And it's perceived as like, oh, the person's looking so good. Their mouth is closed, their eyes are closed, everything looks brilliant. This crisp white sheet, no purge or anything over it. It's just everything's just beautiful. It's like, oh, is this your loved one? It's like, yes, it is.
It's very clean.
Yeah, clinical. I think is probably the best to answer that as well. So, death has been given, that more. What did you say before? The death
Romantic.
So people, when something happens in our world, they think, well, that's not the way that I've seen it to be. And you've sort of got to sort of educate people too. I find even with different cultures, this is how we do it in India. This is how we do it in Sri Lanka. Like we get to light the cremation. Well, over here you can't because it's already running. This closest what I can give families is the thumbs up to the crematorium operator to open the door and let it happen. Whereas they're there and they get to light the stack. Could you do that? Like if your loved one was on the stack, could you like get a?
I think that if you had asked me before I started working in funerals, I would have said no. But I think that, and I was having this conversation with my grandma last night. There are so many things that I couldn't have done or couldn't have even fathomed, like doing my own family's prep work or stuff like that. Which now it's like a. This is gonna sound absolutely horrible. I could set my mum on fire.
Yeah,
I don't want to, but I reckon I could be the one to do it.
I know. I guess unless you're in that situation, it'd be so hard to pinpoint exactly how you want to do it. I don't know. I don't know if I could. But I think, I mean, culturally and traditions are so different over there compared to us here. I think some of the things that we do over here can be quite dull and boring. Like still beautiful, but just like go in, piece of music, say a few words about Jono, lower, walk out, that's it, done. See you later. Go to the pub, have something to eat, get pissed, and then move on. Whereas, there's some cultures that go for a week, like, or what did the Queen have? Was that like 40 days of mourning or something?
Like that.
And they can't wear, it has to be black. You can't, Where did that whole black thing come from?
God, I have got no idea.
Because, I mean, we were talking in one of the other episodes we did about
the arsenic fails.
Yeah. So all of that was white, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right? But, black. I wonder where the black came from.
Not too sure.
We must put that down on our list of things. So you think we would be prepared for that, talking about that today? But anyway, that was my head going to that. So you were saying before about you like to maybe come back as a nice dog or something?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to come back specifically as my dog.
Your
because
dog?
she's the most spoiled brat.
Yeah.
I want to be a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
What do you believe in? Do you believe in reincarnation? Do you believe we just
I believe. I reckon I've lived before. Definitely. I don't know if I could go through school again.
No, absolutely not.
It's like, when you really think of life or how we class life as, there's a lot of work involved in the whole, and then you get to a certain level and you go, well, half of that stuff that I've just been taught has no connection to the real world whatsoever. And then so we're brought on this earth to, you're born, you do school, you do jobs, you work hard, you eat, you sleep, you go back to work, you do the same thing. Some of us marry, some of us have kids, some of us, whatever it is. And then, when you're whatever age, then you go. Like, what is our purpose?
I'd either want to come back as a dog or as a trophy wife.
Yeah.
I reckon that'd be great.
But the thing is that if you did the trophy wife, then you'd have to do schooling again. Because you'd have to start, like, you don't come back as, here's a 20-something-year-old girl, lady, woman. Well, I don't, there might be ones out there, but then you'd have to do all of that.
I just think that, and I hear it a lot, people are like, oh, reincarnation, a bit far-fetched. I don't understand how it can be far-fetched because souls, souls are a thing.
Yeah.
And they need a vessel to operate and to survive and blah, blah, blah. So if you've got, all these little things zapping around, at some point they're going to insert themselves into a vessel. You know what I mean?
It's a parasite.
Well, yeah.
We are the parasite.
We are the parasites.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're like hermit crabs.
Yeah.
We're just in skin shells.
Yeah. If you could just see what she's currently doing, you'd actually be creeped. That's just like, yeah.
Like your sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah, that's right.
In the corner of your room.
Oh my God. Death. Death is something, and I mean that's the whole reason why we do these episodes is let's chat about death. Death is given, so it's a very taboo subject. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. But why can't death be celebrated like birth?
You stopped me there.
Speechless. Oh my God.
You're like,
Can we write that down? What date and time is it? Yeah.
She finally stopped talking.
Like why? Like we celebrate, 9 months of these people going through this pregnancy and like, oh, this is what it's going to be, and then, wah. That's my impression of someone giving birth. little bit more traumatic than that.
Yep.
And then you celebrate birth. But when someone has lived 90 years, has fought in the war, has had a successful job, has raised a beautiful family, has had money, had all of that. Like why can't that person's life be celebrated fully?
Why do we celebrate a new life but not a lived life?
Yeah. And you would have heard, well, I think you would have heard certain families sort of saying, they didn't want a funeral, didn't believe in them, you know, and
wanted to be chucked in a cardboard box.
That's right. Just, like, well, this poor bloke or woman has lived for that period of time. They deserve, even if it's an hour, they deserve people to come together, in my opinion. Now, for those that just want a direct cremation, that's fine too. It's really, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's if you do a direct cremation and you don't want your body to be at your funeral, I totally get that, right? But then it's the storytelling, because the day that people stop talking about that person, their memory fades. You know, you start, well, you don't get to hear their voice in your head anymore, you know, or people that don't like getting their photos taken, you know, like get your photos taken, take your really silly photos, whatever, because they're the ones that are going to be at your funeral. Like,
that's exactly
because
right.
everyone does that. If you're not in photos, well, then your funeral's going to be bloody boring, to be honest.
I had a memorial service about a year ago,
and you're still here.
Yeah,
That is absolutely amazing. You've been reincarnated back into a funeral director's assistant.
Yeah, been reincarnated back into myself. But so this woman, it was a memorial service for this woman, and you know, I'm all for having a memorial service without the deceased present. That's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that everything was set up on a table and all of the family and friends were in there having a memorial service, and I was sat outside with her ashes in the foyer. They didn't have her in there.
Then what's the point?
I don't know. So we just watched it on the little TV that they've got at the Cirrus Chapel. I was like, oh, look, they're talking about you.
She was there, but she's not there.
She was there, but she was in the foyer, sat on the little couch thing with me. Yep.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, we have had, I mean, not recently, where people say, oh, I want Dad to be cremated prior to the funeral. And I'll say, okay, reason why? Oh, we just don't want him there. Like, we don't want to see his coffin because it was too traumatic. I say, well, why can't we have Dad out the back? You know, like, so he's here, but he's not here. Similar type of thing to the ashes, but yeah, I don't know. I still find that weird. Funerals really, and I'm only just saying it because of my own experience. Whatever I ever say is always about my own experience, but to physically see a coffin really brings reality forefront right there in your face. And we always try to encourage families to come in and spend a little bit of time with a coffin prior to all the doors opening up and allowing everyone else to come in, correct? Yeah. So, because there'd be nothing worse than opening the doors and going, ta-da, like, you know, we're here, like, we're coming in. So, coffin is a very big part, or the body's a very big part. And like I said, it's each to their own in there's so many different avenues you can go. But to go back to that someone should be celebrated is so true, because I would find it hard for me to just say because funerals aren't for the dead, they're for the living. So you're basically saying, I don't want to be there. I don't want to do this. I want to do that. It's like, yeah, totally get that. But how about your family?
Mm-hmm.
They want to grieve. They want to play, a silly song, or they want to put some photos up on the wall. They want to do anything that they want to do. I mean, and how did we get to where, like, with the wake, for example, is person has a funeral, is taken to the crematorium, and then we're eating and drinking, and while that person is being cremated.
And sometimes, depending on where you are, you're eating and drinking in a room that backs onto the crematorium.
That's right, yeah. I always remember as a kid, and this was in Queensland in Australia, and we went, I think it was Nana's, so my dad's mum, and that was probably one of the very first of my own family ones, and went up there, and beautiful old little chapel or crematorium, but it looked out to some gum trees, and it had like a stained glass window sort of overlooking, had a big cross. But when you see the rippling of heat, that's what I can laugh about it now, but I tell you what, as a kid, it's like, what the hell is that? The rippling of heat as the service is happening. And so that's where my focus went to, not the fact that it was this beautiful, trees outside and Nana's rosewood coffin, and all of that was there, but all I could see was that. But leading up, we were outside before we went into the chapel, and a gas truck turns up to fill the cylinder for the cremation to happen. Like, it's like, we've got a service at 10, we've got a service at 2. Can you come in between that? Like, say 12 or 12:30 and 1:30.
I'm sorry. All my mind is thinking of is, they were just preheating the oven.
It's just like, so
Oh my goodness.
I think that's maybe where some people don't want to do certain things because of experiences that they've had. And then my grandmother was done in the same chapel, but I don't remember the rippling of the heat. I think it was like I was older, but more focused on the coffin. I didn't want to look outside. I'd already been traumatized from that. But yeah, it's like I don't really remember the service. I don't remember, which is sad. But that's how things are, isn't it? Really. Yeah, afterlife stuff. There's got to be something.
Surely. Although we were chatting yesterday, you know how I was telling you about my fear? I have this fear that when we die, we literally just got transported to darkness, and it's just pitch black, and it is silent, and it is eternal. Like, there's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm terrified of that.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not right there. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like,
well, we won't know because you won't talk to us.
no.
If you're there,
Yeah.
you're going, remember that conversation we
know.
were having,
But
you will know.
I will be
and
rocking
then
back and forth in a corner, going absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. But I believe there's got to be something.
Surely.
There's got to be this beautiful spot. I don't know what it is, but beautiful spot. And there's probably people on here saying about religion. That's fine. Totally get that. I believe that there is a garden. There is a spot that is free from worries and pain and suffering. Everything's all energy. Anything you were saying yesterday, everything is matter. So there's got to be. There's got to be existence out there. And depending on who your guardians, I guess, and who you deal with in life, you're probably thinking, oh, Chris is smoking a few too many cones or something. He's talking about guardians now. But I'm a spiritual person, not a religious person. And I'm not saying that, I think we were talking about this yesterday too, about, faith and things like that. I think over society, you get taught certain things as kids. And then as you get older, you start to make your own mind up. You start to look at the world and think, well, if there was, then how's this or why is that? But there's got to be a place. Now, that place could be full of all the gods around the world. And, yeah, it's just like they're all banked into the same house, They're all house sharing. Oh, did you hear about Buddha? Buddha went out on the tank last night. He was smashed when he got home.
Hercules
it was terrible.
didn't wash the dishes again.
It's just, we need to have a house meeting about this.
Absolutely.
This is unacceptable.
I used to think, so I was, as we spoke about yesterday, I was a very, very religious child growing up. And then I moved to a Catholic school and went, oh, no thanks.
It's very different, isn't it?
So different.
Yeah. Yes. Please.
But
share your sins with Father Bremba.
I don't have a lot. But I was very religious, and I was told that heaven is whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
So I thought that when I died, I was going to the dreamland from Shark Boy and Lava Girl, where it's like the ice cream mountain and the hot chocolate river.
Right.
That's where I thought I was going.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm still hoping that's where I end up.
Yeah.
Floating on a big cookie.
Just big endless amount of food, drink, whatever you want.
Yeah.
That would be very different.
Big pile of prawns, because I bet you anything in the afterlife I'm not allergic.
Yeah, prawns.
And you know what? Even if I am, can't kill me.
Doesn't matter. I'm already dead. Yeah. It reminds me of a Rowan Atkinson skit that he did on Toby the Devil. Have you ever seen that?
I have not.
Look up on YouTube, Toby the Devil by Rowan Atkinson. And it's about him coming on stage and pretending that he's the devil, and he's got a clipboard and he's saying, Jews over here and the molesters over here and the all the different cultures and bits and pieces over here, and then one was for like the lawyers. The lawyers, you're very different. Come over here, and the accountants are over here. But it's a really good skit to sort of give you some indication of, there's things that you can laugh and joke about. We don't know anything exists until we're physically there. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even with people that have had near-death experiences have come back, their stories are quite similar. But, it's that belief of until we physically see it. But unfortunately, we can't sort of run home and go, guess what? Guess what I just saw? The white light. Then I realised it was the Vic line coming through. The Metro train.
It was Joe Blogg with his high beams on.
He was hunting rabbits. Oh. But yeah, it's there's got to be something, because there's a lot of people that have been treated so badly in life or have been thrown everything and they've got through it, but there's got to be a reward at the end of that, I would think. Mm-hmm. And why, like we were saying before about birth, why do you reckon death isn't something that people tend to celebrate too much?
Because...
Ooh, another pause.
Well, I'm trying to word this in a way that's not going to get me cancelled, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But I think that grieving, and I say this as I'm guilty of doing it. It's and it's not a bad thing, but it is a selfish thing. You grieve not because this person's died, but you grieve because you don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
when
Is
you're
that it?
pretty much when a baby is born, woohoo, party, good on your
Yeah.
friend. But when somebody dies, you're never going to get to see them again.
No.
You're never going to speak to them again. Who knows what they're doing? Eating a bucket of prawns in heaven, probably.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's
But
very...
I think people don't realise that you can still communicate with them after they're gone.
That's true. And I say selfish is not a bad thing.
Oh, no,
Selfish,
definitely not.
You have to be selfish.
Now, people will be saying, well, how do I know that, or how do people know that you can talk to them afterwards? Well, I'm just assuming that the feelings that I get when we have people in our care centre is going to be very different to, you know, I don't know, feelings are different.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the feeling of having certain things and equipment that we have will prove that, like asking questions, and if things go off and having multiple pieces of equipment or visual displays, it's sort of, you know, can I prove it 100%? Well, probably not, because it's technology, it's equipment. But I think if you've been mixing with the right people, or when you go over to the other side, or when you jump the fence, that it's, there's people there that can help you to communicate to a certain level. And then once you've done your thing, then it's time for you to eat your prawns.
Mm-hmm.
And eat as much pizza as you want. You know, don't feel as though that you're going to get barley belly if you're walking around the garden, and, you know, like all of that stuff's gone. Like, it's just, well, that's my thing of it. Anyway.
Yeah. I think that being said, don't anybody go start playing with Ouija boards. You don't know who you're attracting there.
No.
They are bad news.
And, you know, I guess as kids, everyone used to go, I'm going to get a Ouija board out and I'm going to, you know, I'm going to sit in a dark room and we're all going to light candles and it's all good, and, you know. But I'll tell you now, don't do that. Even if you're thinking about it, you're probably thinking, oh, is that why I've had all these issues in my life? Because you're opening a can of whoop ass, basically. You are just, unless you know how to open and close it, don't attempt it.
No, absolutely not.
I've got one at home that I never opened, ever.
I have one at home, but my one at home I got with
Came with a set of steak knives.
close. With an odd body Furby, which are like they cut Furby faces off. You know, like the little animatronic toys from like they cut Furby faces off, and then they stick them onto different soft toys. So I've got a unicorn one, which is pretty cool. Pegasus. He's a Pegasus. But I got this little mini, probably 5 centimeters by 3 centimeters, tiny little Ouija board and a little thing. And I was like, this is cool. I don't want to use it. So I super glued the little palette thing. I just super glued it to it.
So
and I was like,
moving.
no, nothing is moving that.
Good.
Don't say that. I have it displayed on my bookshelf.
It's on display.
It's in my bookshelf.
You have this thing on display. Do you? Really?
It's just on my bookshelf. It's blue tacked to my Nintendo Switch holder thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you know what I mean? It's stuck if it's...
So as a kid, you didn't...
No.
None of your girlfriends used to go, we're going to go out.
Yeah. And the whole Bloody Mary thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. My grandma is a ghost whisperer.
Yeah.
And so she told me from a pretty young age, hey, maybe don't mess around with this kind of stuff. So I never did.
No.
But my school friends, I will never forget year 12 retreat. One of the, not my room, but a few girls in my grade, they performed a seance in the hotel room. And I was like, that's not a very good idea. They said some things, but I don't know. I think they might have just been,
but you think about it,
but
and we were talking about it on the service we did the other day in one of these chapels. Like, all of these crematorium chapels and churches we go to have residue, right? None of that gets cleaned at all.
Not the way that it should be.
No.
Doesn't get cleansed.
No. So you're walking in there and it might be a beautiful chapel, but then all of a sudden you feel sick, you get a headache, you go, oh my God, I just need a drink of water. No. You're getting affected by other things. Now, especially if the person that's been in there before has been a bit of a, he might have done some terrible things or she might have done some terrible things, or just that whole mix of, that soul does not want to leave. And we, look, people have tried to say to me, well, I don't think that exists. Fair enough, that's your call. I know that what I've seen and the amount of money I've invested in equipment, it's working. So, so hotels and, they've got things laying in there. Could be that, there could have been a breakup in there and, all sorts of stuff. And then we were talking about mirrors the other day too,
You don't know what mirrors have experienced.
No, that's, it's like you want to be a fly on the wall, but then you don't.
I have been trying to take note of how I feel when I walk past certain mirrors or look at certain mirrors in my house. And the bathrooms are fine. I feel very normal in the bathrooms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think that they were trying to keep anything in there.
No, and your homes are fairly new homes.
It is.
It's unlikely that the previous tenants and owners have done anything untoward, except for the marks on the walls, like it's had locks. But very, very different times. But yeah, death and afterlife are, there's a purpose to it. And we can only talk about it because it's not something that we're looking forward to, but everyone's going to go through that process no matter what way we look at it.
I'm actually almost a little bit excited to see what happens. I think that I've spent so long in my life thinking about, what if this happens? What if that happens? Or I wonder, you know what I mean? I'm looking forward to finding out,
What's on the other side.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm not going to force myself to get there.
No.
Just like to clear that up.
No.
But I'm looking forward to.
So you're going to go across there and it's like, oh, Queen Annie has arrived.
Oh, I'm so
Yes.
excited.
Oh.
I'm not excited to die. But
And there's your cow. I give you a cow.
I'm excited to just find out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. And I think if you enjoy life and you do what you do and you class each day as though it's your last, then you got no regrets.
No, absolutely.
We're on this earth for a purpose. And whatever that purpose is to each of you will be very different.
I think at the end of the day, you just have to make sure that you're a good person, or not even. You don't even have to. I guess by doing good things for no other reason. What's it called?
Well, see, it used to be.
Ulterior motive.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Doing good things.
Starts with.
I nearly said ultimatum. Doing good things with no ulterior motive other than just doing good.
Well, my thing used to be that, and when I first got into the industry, seeing people that had done some really terrible things, and we're talking things that have been on media and all that, to then go into a place, be it place of worship, place of reflection, whatever you want to call it, and then get cleansed as though that nothing's ever happened. So that's when I started thinking, well, how did that come about? How can someone go from bad to then good just for the sake because they've passed? But yeah, it's. I think when it comes to afterlife, there'll be a spot for those people, and some people would call that hell or whatever. But I don't believe there is such a place as that.
No.
Maybe I used to. I don't know. But there's a space. We're all in the same space, but they're behind the barbed wire. They're not going to get anywhere near you and whatever.
Next to the
or
flaming dumpster.
and the catapult.
Look,
Yeah.
like I said yesterday, I don't believe in heaven and hell. I mean, sure, there's a place that good people go and bad people go, but I don't believe in it for the simple fact that how come if somebody does terrible things their entire life and at the end of it they apologize, they get sent to, you know, a place where bloody Nelson Mandela, who's done wonders for everything.
Right. Yeah.
How come they're in the same place when Nelson Mandela is a genuinely good person and George Pell is a kiddie fiddler? You know, just because he apologized at the end of it, why is he now, you know?
Yeah.
Why is he up there?
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I'm going to go through my life doing good things, and just because I did some things that were sinful by Bible standards, you know, and I didn't apologize for them at the end of my life, how come now I'm down there with murderers?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
No.
So I don't believe in heaven and hell.
Yeah.
Because I believe that if God was all good or all powerful, then he would, you know,
fix
oh,
it
well,
all.
you're a good person. Doesn't matter if you don't believe in me. Because
Look,
I'm all good and I love you.
I think with with everything, you know, like even people that are listening, you're probably, you know, either agreeing or you might be going, well, that's not right. But everyone has their own opinion. And politics, religion and all that type of stuff tend to be stuff that no one ever wants to talk about. But, you know, when you look at life and how we are and what's happening in our society, you know, you often question your own self and your own society. And I think, you know, how it was as growing up and, you know, having this belief and no matter what I do, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then all of a sudden it falls to crap or people die around you and you think, but why? They were such good people. But the people that are doing bad, why aren't they gone? You know, you really start to question a lot of things. So whatever people's beliefs and morals are, they're yours, totally yours. You know, there's free speech. You can talk about it. You can do whatever. Be it if you agree or you don't, it doesn't matter. The thing is, as long as you can live your life the best way, and when you pass away, that you're with self, then that's all that matters at the end of the day.
And also in you know, free speech and living your life the way that you want to, don't disrespect people because they've got different beliefs to you.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean, I don't believe in God. I don't believe in heaven and hell. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go and be a prick to somebody who does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, a difference of opinions should not be.
Yeah. No, totally get it. And, you know, we're not, like, I guess on this side of our, the role that we take, whatever our beliefs and morals are when it comes to a lot of funerals, we have to put aside because we're not living that. That's their thing.
And at the end of the day, our job is to care for people. Doesn't matter who they are. Doesn't matter their life story.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what they believed in.
Yeah.
We're here to care for them.
Definitely.
And that's what we do.
Yeah, definitely. So, look, I think we've covered quite a bit about the death and afterlife. Like I said, you know, you're all going to have a different experience of what you believe happens with death, why things don't get spoken about. Hopefully with our podcasts and things like that, that people are going to learn something. Be it if you believe there's an afterlife, you know, it's entirely up to you as well. So, you know, I just believe that there's got to be a purpose. What's our true belonging? I don't know. I don't think we're here just to work and die.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you don't learn anything from this particular episode or any episode, if you want to learn stuff, you can learn stuff. If you don't want to, that's okay. Hopefully at least you are walking away with a little less stigma around death.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I'm just trying to get I think it might be this one. Oh, look, there you go. That's the bell to say time to finish up. So we're going to thank you, Annie. Yeah. I don't know what this one is. Oh, they're still clapping you.
I know.
Yeah,
Work today, finally.
there you go. Now they've stopped. Thank you very much for joining us and going through some of that. And thank you to everyone out there that has listened to another episode of Let's Chat About Death. Like I said, there'll be topics today that you may not like or you may like. So, yeah, just be good to your fellow person. I think that's the thing I get out of it. But anyway, thank you so much, and we'll join you again for another episode. Till then, bye-bye.
Bye.